Today, Chris Christie with a mea culpa about masks.
And it was a mistake.
The former New Jersey governor who spent 7 days in the ICU admitting he should have worn a face covering at that Rose Garden ceremony and while prepping the president for the debate.
And I think we need to be honest with the American people and just say directly to them that we don't know everything we need to know about this disease at this point, George. But what we do know is that masks can certainly help.
That just hours after the president said his opinion of masks hasn't changed after catching COVID.
I'm good with masks. I'm okay with masks.
Then cited a false conclusion about a recent CDC study.
85% of the people that wear masks catch it. So
they didn't say that. I know that study.
The CDC tweeting the interpretation that more mask wearers are getting infected is incorrect, adding that its study actually found people with and without COVID claimed to use masks in public, but that people with COVID were more likely to have eaten in a restaurant, an activity where masks can't be worn. Both the president and Christie received antibody treatments under compassionate use exemptions, a way seriously ill patients can receive investigational drugs if no alternative therapies are available. Regeneron, which provided the antibody cocktail to the president, says it has granted fewer than 10 exemptions. For John Lober, there is only one answer when it comes to wearing masks.
I didn't wear a mask, and I didn't social distance, and I paid the price for it.
He has lingering side effects and a new mission.
Just because I acted like an idiot doesn't mean that you have to.
To help save others. Kristen Dahlgren, NBC News, New York.
We're not going to control the pandemic. We are going to control the fact that we get vaccines, therapeutics, and other mitigation
Why aren't we going to get
areas
control of the pandemic?
Because it is a contagious virus, just like the flu.
Yeah, but why not make efforts to contain it?
Well, we are making efforts to contain it.
By running all over the country not wearing a mask?
Jake,
that's what the vice president's doing.
We can get into the back. We're going to defeat it, Jake, because we're Americans. We do that, and this president is leading while Joe Biden is sitting there suggesting that we're going to mandate masks.
The president is holding rallies all over the country.
That's correct.
No
In fact,
masks,
we're leaving.
No masks required, no distancing. There have already been, according to health officials, contact tracing. There have already been cases of individuals in Minnesota and in Washington, D.C., and in Oklahoma that got the virus at these Trump rallies that Dr. Fauci himself called a super spreader event, the one at the White House.
There's also been contact tracing.
Well, what a mask does, it's doing two things. It's keeping you from breathing particles in the air, but it's also keeping particles from getting in the air to infect other people. So this is an N95. We hear about these all the time. I bought this at a hardware store several years ago. I've had it around for working in the shop. Can't blow out the candle. And then similarly, particles in the air very seldom get through this mask. Here's a mask made from two layers of cloth, made by a gal at the Planetary Society, Emily Lockteville, was very skilled, and this has a pipe cleaner in it. Some air gets through it, but not nearly as much. Now, some masks aren't especially good at all. Here's a cloth mask that someone's experimenting with. Not every cloth mask does the job, but in general, a mask keeps particles from getting in the air to infect other people. Here's the thing. The particles that are carrying the virus are droplets from your respiratory system, from your breath, from your nose and mouth. And so when they get in the air, they don't fall like pebbles. They fall very slowly because they're so small. If you are maple syrup and a popcorn kernel, and you drop the popcorn kernel in maple syrup, it falls, but very, very slowly because the syrup is thick. The same is true of particles from your breath when they get in the air. Here's a laser pointer, which I'll keep on using this remarkable clothespin technology. And then when I put baking powder in the air, you can see it here. You can also see the baking powder up here. It doesn't fall like a rock. It stays in the air. So when someone breathes in your presence, it's very likely, in a closed environment where the particles can't blow away, it's very likely you'll get inside. Wear a mask, please.
Yeah, listen, you were preaching to the choir here. Do you have any idea, Bill, how long the particles last in the air? Say a person who has COVID has been in the room and the particles are in the room. Do you have any idea how long it lasts after they leave the room when somebody else walks in?
How long it lasts? Well, I'd certainly say 5 minutes, but we had a gal from MIT on the podcast on Science Rules who's a fluid mechanics expert. And the fascinating thing is how far the particles go when you cough or sneeze, and then how long they persist. It's certainly 5 minutes. One study had people waiting 45 minutes to enter the room. So the answer is, once again, absolutely without question, it depends.
And what about, Bill, the importance of wearing the mask? We're running out of time. I want to make sure we cover this, because I see people wearing the mask, but it's not covering their nose. Why is that important to cover your nose too, in addition to your mouth?
Oh man, if the nose is exposed, you're not wearing a mask. What are you talking about? You have to cover the nose. I mean, this is, as my parents remarked many, many times, both parents, common sense is not that common. You can't count on it.
Common sense is not that common.
Wearing a mask,
about outside? What about
common sense?
Yeah.